Hey, welcome back everybody. This is Dave here, and this is the third video in the M1 Finance platform investment tutorial. So while I am not a financial advisor, I do have a brokerage portfolio, and I use M1 Finance, as you can see. So in this video, I want to go ahead and go over the core principle of using M1 Finance and the reason why you should. And this is to be able to invest into a portfolio that you have various stocks and funds in. You can set it up and you can forget about it. You don't have to worry about, which way the market is moving. You don't have to worry about, should I buy it this time? Should I buy it at that time? When should I invest? It's all done for you. So in this section, or in this video, let's go ahead and take a look at it. Now on the main dashboard of M1 Finance, you can see over to the upper right hand side the cash balance. And this is the overall balance that you have in your brokerage. It's also referred to as cash on hand. So right now, my cash balance as of today is $0 because I have everything invested. Like last night I got a dividend for like $7 or something like that. And I set it up last night to it was $2.91, and that looks like it wasn't a dividend. It was just I had a buy order and then it had $2.91 left over. So $2.91. I set a buy order last night for Verizon to use up that $2.91. So now it is at $0. Now, why did I mentioned, automation and, that's the core principle behind M1 Finance. Why did I have to set up that buy order myself? The reason why is because M1 Finance will not do an automated execution or an automated buy unless this cash balance is $25 or more. So if it's at $26, it'll invest $26. But if it's at $24, it will not invest that $24. You'll have to put another dollar into it for it to automatically invest. That's not really a big deal, or that's not as a big deal as it seems like I'm making it out to be, because when you set up a transfer, or like a recurring transfer like I have set up, you can see here that I have two rules set up for my two portfolios. We have my main portfolio, which is my dividend portfolio, and every week this varies between 150 to 250, depends on certain factors, like if it's the paycheck that I use for rent or whatever. At some point I'll just set this and forget it. But right now I am in a rapid growth phase on my portfolio. So you'll see right here, and I'm not going to change this because I just did a manual investment yesterday of a pretty hefty amount. Usually I don't do that, but most of the time this is set up to $200. So what I have set up here is, if you have M1 Spend and you use that as your main checking account, you can set this to M1 Spend, or you can set this up to your external bank account. So for me, I just use M1 Spend, and we'll do, you choose down here, it'll tell, I have a Roth, don't Don't laugh. But anyways, let's say I have a dividend portfolio, Fifth Third. So under frequency, and this is going to be how often when do you want to set up a recurring transfer into your investment portfolio? You can do weekly, you can do bi-weekly, monthly, at the end of or at a specific week of the month. So let's say you get paid on the 15th, or you get paid on the 1st or the 31st. You can set that to a specific week, and day of the month. Typically, because I dollar cost average on a weekly basis, so I just want to go ahead and choose weekly here. And we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I may have mentioned it before, but I am not a financial advisor. So take this with a grain of salt. I only read this from financial advisors. I've also heard it on YouTube through Seeking Alpha and everything else. But typically Mondays, if you look at the stock market, the overall history of the stock market, on Monday, the stock market is always down. On Friday, it's always up. So I choose for this to happen on Monday, so that way when the market opens on Monday, it'll invest this $150 on Monday every week. There's a reason behind that theory, and it's a pretty good one. So typically companies will release their earnings on Friday at the end of the trading session. So how investors think and how the stock market thinks is, let's say Apple, Google, Fifth Third, you name it. Let's say company A is going to be announcing their earnings. What they'll do is they'll announce their earnings after the stock market closes on Friday. And, people predict, people have faith, people run the numbers, analysts, ratings, blase. What it all boils down to is there'll be hype for this company to release better than expected earnings. And their stock price will go up to reflect that better than expected earnings. But, as sometimes happens, that company will fall short of said expectations. So, the price of the stock gets inflated, the earnings come out, people say, oh, it didn't do as good as we thought. Tesla didn't sell as many cars as we thought. Whatever. And then on Monday, the price of the stock will go down to lower than normal averages because people panic and sell. And then, when people panic, then your automated investment platforms will see that there's a downshift, and then the automation or the AI will say, hey, something's happening to the stock, we need to sell, and it just keeps getting lower and lower and lower. So until it stops, and then it goes back up to normal levels, Tuesday, Wednesday, by Friday it's again overhyped, and then Monday oversold. If you look at the history of the stock market, that's that's what happens. Long story short, for me personally, every Monday I invest $150 into the stock market. Yeah. Long story short, $150 on Monday. Good. Now, one thing to note here, this is the core part of M1 Finance, and you get this for free. When you use M1 Finance and you do not have a membership, you can still set up your rules for transferring money into your portfolio. Even if you don't use M1 Spend, and let's say you have your bank is with JP Morgan or Fifth Third or Bank of America, or Citigroup, any of the other banks, you can still set up this schedule. So it'll transfer money from your bank account to your M1 Finance investment portfolio, and then it'll automatically invest that money that you transferred. So let's say you do not use M1 Spend and you just want a brokerage. So you set up your rule here, but instead of sending, like I have M1 Spend, you set up your bank. You can set this up to transfer $100. So M1 Spend will automatically do that money transfer, and it'll invest that $100 automatically into your portfolio. What that means is that once you have that set up, you don't have to go to M1 Finance ever again, unless you're managing your portfolio. It's set it and forget it. If you're prior military, it's a fire and forget missile. You fire it off and you forget it exists and you move on to the next target, right? Now, another part to M1 Finance is if you are a member to M1 Plus, and that is the smart transfer system. Smart transfers allow you to, on a very micro scale, transfer cash balances between accounts. So if you have M1 Spend and you have multiple M1 portfolios, like a Roth IRA, different typical accounts, your custodial accounts, a 401k, you can set it up to where money gets moved from your checking account to your investment account, or from, if your checking account doesn't have a certain amount, you can say, okay, well, I want, I want my checking account to have at least $2,500 in it. And how do you want to do that? Well, let's take a look here. So when my cash balance in my M1 Spend Plus is over $2,500, I want to refill my balance, we always want to have $2,500 in our spend account. So we can refill our balance to, that's going to be our minimum. Let's say our maximum is going to be refill to $5,000. That way we have $2,500 cushion, and anything, from $2,500 to $5,000 we can spend, at the grocery, on various bills, rent, insurance, car payment, house payment, food, what have you. You have that cushion there, and once it gets to $2,500, it'll take the remaining. It'll take $2,500 from, let's say, invest, borrow, or custom. All available accounts, customize, how long? Alright, so with a custom, I'm guessing with a custom you can set up, okay, well, I want $2,000 to come from my dividend portfolio and $500 to come from my growth portfolio, or I want to borrow it on margin lending. Don't use margin. So we could do until reaching a transfer limit, transfer remaining cash balance. There is a lot of things you can do with this transfer system. I'm not going to set up an entire... I might do that as like an optional video. As like a video... This is a video 3. So I might do like a 3.5 video in this series on showing up like a specific rule set. I'll do like a graph and everything, and transferring from balances from accounts, depending on balances, and then et cetera, and kind of really go in depth on that. But I feel for the majority of people that get, at least at first, that get M1 Finance, won't actually use the smart transfer system, because I have a feeling with smart transfers, and kind of how I envision it, is if you're using M1 Finance, if you're already in that retirement phase. So I'm not going to say like 65 or older, but let's say you're living that FIRE lifestyle and you're 30 years old and you're living off your dividends. Well, hey, use the smart transfer system. That way you can always have cushions and move money between your accounts the way you need to, without needing to worry about, did I forget to do this? In today's world, everything is always about that subscription. So if you have multiple subscriptions, and if you forget, what day of the month that subscription hits, I just spent all my money on my insurance or on food, I forgot I had that subscription. Well, that's really where your smart transfer is going to come into play. With me, you can see I actually don't have any smart transfers, even though I am a Plus member. The reason behind that is I wouldn't say I'm very frugal, but I'm very... I know, like, I'm very rigorous about my finances. So we'll go ahead and kind of leave it, here for now. I know this was like a pretty simple video on how to set up the automation, and that's great, right? M1 Finance, they did not make this complicated at all. It is very much, like I mentioned before, it is very much a fire and forget. You set it up, and you don't have to worry about it ever again. So I just want to say thanks for watching. I do hope you learned a little bit about how to set everything up. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and just leave it here. And you guys have a great afternoon. We'll see you in the next video.